Let's talk about a couple different builds you can use for 2020, ways to build your team, whether it's redraft or dynasty. I think this strategy that I'm going to talk about first works well with both, but especially awesome in dynasty given they're all young players.
Imagine if you could acquire Winston and Mike Evans and Godwin all on the same team without using your first two picks or draft capital that equates to your first two picks. Now, obviously, Godwin and Winston could have been attainable outside of top 24 overall value, but Evans wouldn't.
You're kind of swinging for the fences, but you're swinging from the fences from the picks that are below rounds 1 and 2.
But the point is to imagine three players out there on one team that have that kind of upside and the cost of what I'm talking about outside of top 25 overall value. Is there even a team that has three players like that? In my opinion, yes, the Cardinals. Kyler Murray, Kenyon Drake, and Christian Kirk. It's by no means a lock that these three players will be equivalent to the value of Winston, Godwin, and Evans as a trio. The goal is to find three players on one team in such an offense, a high-octane offense, that have the potential to deliver that kind of production for you without touching your top two picks.
Now, I know a lot of you are going to say, but you're putting all your eggs in one basket with the Cardinals. But when you identify a team that's kind of on the rise, that a team that's going to have an uptick in production across the board from the running game to the passing game, I think it's not a bad risk to take, especially when you're not risking it on any of your top two players. Kenyon Drake, for right now, this could change. Right now is looking at third or fourth round ADP, and we're predicting some things there because we don't have really good ADP data to go off. But if Kenyon Drake is a third rounder, if Christian Kirk is a 5 or a 6, if Kyler Murray is a 6 or a 7 or a 5, we don't have ADP data right now. We're guessing. But if all those players can be consumed and added onto your roster for your dynasty build, your redraft build, your auction, whatever, and you still have, even in an auction it works, you still have your first and second overall players to invest in a Mike Thomas, invest in an Alvin Kamara. And let's say you got Zeke Elliott and Mike Evans, whatever the case may be. You're building your team around top 5 to 10 home run hitters that don't cost you top 24 overall value. And the reason why the Cardinals have been identified by me as that team to do this type of build with is that I believe game flow won't affect the stats because Kenyon Drake is an equal wide receiver, equal running back type of player. And the fact that Kyler Murray runs a lot, even in a game where maybe they are running more, Murray's going to do well, and Kirk could still do well. And in games where they need to pass a lot, Kirk will obviously be utilized. Murray will obviously get a lot of yards in the passing department. And then you got Drake, who's equally as good in the receiving game. And the Cardinals, whether they do well or not in 2020, most likely will need to score a lot to win. Even if they're losing games, they will be in it. And if they're behind, they'll be throwing and running a ton. Now, of course, where Drake lands, if they re-sign him at all, in Arizona will determine, whether this can be utilized. But I'm predicting as of right now the Cardinals do bring Drake back. I'm predicting that Drake won't find the running back market that attractive, given that there's a grip of running backs coming out in 2020 in the NFL draft that are really good. And there's really only, if you take Tennessee and Arizona out, 5 or 6 teams that really need a running back enough that they'd pay the big time free agent dollars that a Drake or a Melvin Gordon or a Derrick Henry are going to command.
Do you take this approach in every draft? No, you don't. This is like a creative build. You're playing in a bunch of leagues and you want to deploy a really cool approach and try and get, especially in a dynasty startup, a team that in 5 years people are like, how the hell did you come up with this team?
Let's give Alvin Kamara one more chance, 2020 people. What? Stay away from the Devontae Parker in 2020. He's no good. I sure hope the Cardinals re-sign Kenyon Drake 2020. What?
Top 5 running back. You're watching the Fantasy Football Show.